Blue Skies is a company which manages to get 20 to 30 tons of fruit salads by air into the markets of Europe every day. Blue Skies has a culture which enables us to operate in Africa. Very important. It's one which we've carefully fashioned, and it allows people to be and feel socially equal. So you don't get any of the sort of expats and so on telling you how it should be done and in enjoying a better salary package than everybody else. We're all on level footing. Of course, in a manufacturing environment, you have a hierarchy, and within that hierarchy, you have bosses. Being Blue Skies, we have as many women in boss jobs as we have men in boss jobs. So it's extended, this whole notion of equality is extended the right way through the workforce. In terms of making the culture work for the company, it has had an amazing magnetic effect on the retailers of Europe, who are not just interested in having the finest and best freshly cut and fresh from harvest fruit, but also actually want to have a good pedigree with the company that supplies them. So when they walk into any one of our premises, whether it be Egypt, South Africa, Ghana, Senegal, or wherever, they immediately get this feel of family, of togetherness, of wanting to make something work and having a clear focus, because actually everybody wants to make it work. When you've got everybody pulling in the same direction, competition, watch out. You then, of course, have a product, in our case, which competitively is unmatched in the world. Nobody else has a network of factories supplying utterly fresh from harvest, fresh cut products to the retailers and consumers within 36 hours. It puts us absolutely ahead. And one final thing, most people you talk to, most businesses you talk to in this field will not be close to the farmer. We are close to the farmer. We are cheek by jowl with our farmers. So we know them all, we know their families, we know their problems, and we help them. And we're there for the long run with them. It has had an extraordinary effect on bringing people together, and because it's recognized as being something that employs a lot of people. We're not dependent upon machinery. So the impact is felt in a very human way, which after all is the only way when you think about trying to find solutions for developing countries. The facility of Ghana actually is very much the model which we have at all our 6 sites. And we have there, for example, a football area. We have a Keep Fit, a very active Keep Fit team and club. But we have, most importantly, a restaurant which feeds something like 2,000 people a day. There's an awful lot of people now working at the Ghana factory. And like all these sorts of communities, if you look at the town, the local town, you won't find a library there, you won't find a park, any parkland there. It's just, sprawling concrete and really very little else. So people come early to work. We don't have a clocking in system because we actually don't believe in the clocks. We don't have hoots and sirens and horns to make people go to work. People actually use self-discipline to get there themselves. And if they don't turn up for work, Mavis will say, "How come you didn't turn up for work today, Sheila?" And then there's a problem between them. But there's also an internet cafe. So we're all the time allowing people to stretch their legs, stretch their minds, and reach out to the information that's available in the world. And we have a good old library that, believe it or not, there are no libraries in Ghana. Well, not libraries of the sort that you and I understand. A library, for example, in the many universities you would expect to see, but not one in the local town. And we have a parkland where many of the young people meet their matches, often for life. And so again, it's encouraged. It's a way of life. It's a community activity, and I think it works very well. Now, of course, that's on a at the level of the staff themselves. Outside in the business community, there is a very different sort of situation. We are, for example, now, just after 17 years, the largest employer in terms of people in the private sector, which is really quite remarkable when this country is, such a large one, almost the size of the United Kingdom. But of course, with an economy that is very much more embryonic. Blue Skies is a company which regards the development of people as very important. If you're going to beat that animal, that devil, poverty, then you've got to actually enable people. You've got to lift them. You've got to give them hope. And I think Blue Skies does that by paying people round about 3 to 4 times the minimum wage. At the lowest level, you automatically introduce discretionary income into the equation. And that discretionary income will be used for education, or it might be used to buy a car, or maybe just to actually improve the living conditions that people find themselves in. But very often it goes into education, and there's a great thirst for education in Ghana. Young people want to see as much bolted on to their knapsack as possible, so that they can go out and make a difference in the world. Near the top, if not at the top, would be value adding at source. Now, what on earth do I mean by value adding at source? Well, let's take Ghana, for example. Ghana is a country which has abundant minerals. It has cocoa, but they don't make chocolate. The cocoa goes to a large organization in the Netherlands, which makes it into something that resembles chocolate, and then it goes to a chocolatier in Belgium or Cadbury's or wherever, and is made into those things that we recognize, whether they be Easter eggs or whatever. But it is the same story with rice, it's the same story with gold, it's the same story with diamonds, certainly the same story with oil, which they've just found. So how actually, looking at it through socially sensitive eyes, that you can help to crush poverty more than any other way. And I believe that actually value adding at source is certainly a very significant way. What do I mean? Taking the raw material, taking it through its various stages, and in our case that means actually harvesting it, helping the farmers to get to that point, taking it to the factory, cutting it up into pieces that suit the various retailers of Britain and Europe, then putting it into a pack, sealing it, checking that it's absolutely correct, putting the label on it, putting the price on it, and putting, if you like, the promotional information on it, buy one, get one free. Everything goes on it. You've now done the whole lot. All the retailer's got to do is take it out of a box and plonk it on the shelf. That's value adding at source. And it means that, of course, the margin goes back to the country where actually from which it all emanated. And that makes a lot of sense, because you then have a fast-growing economy around, and you start enabling people to do things. Because when you bring in a lot of cash, and we pay our staff something like £3 to £3.5 million a year, just goes into one local village in town. You can imagine the impact of that. That money goes swilling around. It isn't lost ever. It actually is coming in all the time, more and more foreign currency, translated into local currency. And of course it buys clothing, it buys education, food, it buys cars, it buys everything, and then is used again. So you're actually helping to develop other industries and other bits and pieces, so in the service sector, which are important to that community. Palpable, very, very powerful. What's next for Blue Skies? Well, that's always the exciting thing, isn't it? Where do we go next? The word Blue Skies came from the guy who fired me from my last job before I set up my own business. He said to me, what you want is some blue skies thinking. So it's all about thinking. And Blue Skies certainly would like to roll out into more factories, more parts of the world, more interesting products, and to serve the consumers of Europe. And why not the consumers of America? So we are looking at the United States, We're looking east as well, and we're looking at more and more in Europe. We were the first into all the countries I can think of, certainly south of the Channel, and there are a lot more countries that we're adding on almost daily. Look at the incident situation in Ukraine at the moment, to Europe. So I think the opportunities abound, both in terms of the market, in terms of geography, from where you can do it, and definitely in terms of products. We've got some really good ideas coming through.